Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 2022 Spring Leaders Meeting. My name is Ariel. I am the Camp Director of Camp Whitsett this summer. I've started working at Camp Whitsett in 2011, did some work in the kitchen, moved over to the clerk in the business office, and then I went full-time with the council in 2018. So this is my second year as Camp Director. Jeff?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Eldridge. I've worked with Camp Whitsett on and off since 2012. I have worked previously at scout camps in Utah, and for a small stint, worked full-time for the council. This will be my first time returning to Camp Whitsett since 2019.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. All right, everyone, we're excited to have you all here. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to help plan for summer camp for your units. I wanted to get you all familiar with our website, and then I'll also show you the document we're going to be referencing, which is emailed to you, and that is our program guide. All righty. So this is our website, campwhitsett.org. If you're looking for any forms and documents, they can all be found under Scout Resources and then Forms and Documents. This will have our merit badge guide, camperships, different program guides and things like that. Today, we are going to be referencing the 2022 program guide. So feel free to follow along with us, or if you want to pull it up on your computer, but we'll go ahead and get started. So first is going to be our welcome letter to our unit leaders. Feel free to read over this when you have time. I just wanted to highlight some important pieces from here, and that's really going to be these bulleted points kind of in the middle of this letter. So some important things to remember are going to be upcoming payments that you have. There's one in March. May is going to be the balance. And then if you have anyone you're adding after May, they'll be expected to pay in full. Next are the different forms that you'll need. Again, you can refer back to Forms and Documents, where you'll find your attendant roster, youth and adult medical forms, and permission forms as well. Next, you'll see the merit badge and activity schedules. Those are whatever's on the website is most up to date. We don't plan on making any changes at this point, but definitely go ahead and double check it before merit badge registration opens up. An insurance policy, if most councils don't need this, however, since they'll be covered under the BSA's insurance. However, if you're not sure if your council's covered, feel free to email me and I can let you know kind of where you stand with that. And then finally, a new one that was added kind of in the last summer is going to be our COVID pre-screening form. We'll talk about that a little later on, but that's another important form you'll want to make sure you'll have. And then finally, what everyone's been waiting for is merit badge registration. That'll open up March 12th at 8 a.m. You'll register for merit badges using Double Knot. So whoever signed your troop up for Double Knot will have that account. And we'll talk about how that goes as well a little later on.
Okay, next up, we have our camp map. You'll come in through the north entrance. And for those that are visiting us since before 2019, you'll see that a few of the campsites have changed names to reflect more local Native American units. These campsites are available. You can put in a request if you have a favorite campsite. However, as management, we're going to try to do our best to fill it out based on special needs and the amount of people you have in your unit. Below that, we have our Camp Whitsett daily schedule. It should look familiar for those that have been with us before. A couple key points. Flags are held after on Sunday and Friday, where normally we will have flags before dinner throughout the week.
Awesome. Anything else on the schedule, Jeff? Or are we good to move?
We will be making a couple amendments on the schedule. On Tuesday and Thursday nights, we can have an activities area during that free time section that's not on there. But we'll be talking about more of that when you arrive to camp.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Definitely be sure to check back on our website as things, if we make any changes, we'll be sure to update those documents as soon as possible. And then we'll also have copies in camp for you all. Next is our what to bring list. This is pretty standard if you've ever been on a camp out before. You'll want to bring obviously some of your camping gear, whatever makes you most comfortable, whether that's canopies, hammocks, camp chairs, lanterns, things like that. If you are in a wilderness site, your troop will need to bring tents. We do not provide them. If you decided to do one of our tented sites, we do provide the canvas A-frame tents that hold 2 participants each. They come with a wooden platform, 2 mattresses, and 2 thin cots. Definitely recommend bringing your own sleeping pad if you have one, just to add a little extra cushion to those. One I wanted to highlight was the Scoutmaster needs, just making sure you're not forgetting any of those forms and documents that we mentioned briefly earlier. So the youth and adult release forms. Without those, the scouts will not be able to participate in any activities, which would be a pretty boring week. So definitely make sure you have those ready to go. Here is a list of items that we provide as the camp in each campsite. So definitely no need to bring your own broom, shovel, buckets, things like that. Go ahead and refer to this list. One of the new items under mandatory items, if you didn't join us last summer, is going to be masks that cover your mouth and nose. We'll definitely talk on the COVID stuff at the end of our meeting, but at this point, we do ask that all participants have a couple of masks with them throughout the week. Just some more general stuff to bring. We do have hammocks on here, so you're more than welcome to bring hammocks if you'd like. We'll talk about some safety with those as you get into camp, looking for hazard trees, things like that, and also how to protect the trees with hammocks. Any of the items that are asterisked means that we have them available at the trading post for purchase, but definitely if it's something you have or you can buy, bring it beforehand. But just in case you forget, we do have some of that available. Next is the prohibited items. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory. You might even laugh at a few, but they are on here for a reason. One or two that I wanted to highlight. First is going to be no marijuana in camp. We are on federal property, so even though it is legal at the state level, it is not federally. So we ask that you do not bring that up to camp. However, if you do smoke cigarettes, you have like vaping cigarettes, we do have a dedicated smoking section for those up at camp, obviously away from all of our program areas. And kind of to go hand in hand with that is going to be matches and lighters. We are usually on fire restrictions at some point throughout the summer, just due to dry weather and heat. So we would hate for the matches or lighters to, fall out of your pocket, maybe get into a scout's hands or something like that. We definitely don't want to start any forest fires. So if you're going to bring those, like if you need them as an adult, please make sure you kind of keep tabs on them at all times. All right. Next, departure and arrival. This one you might want to take some notes on. Sunday check-in can be a little hectic, especially if it's your first time at camp. Everyone's kind of running around trying to get everyone situated. So if you follow this step-by-step guide, it'll help everything move a lot quicker. So our gate does not open until 1 o'clock. You'll see the top gate is locked. So if you get there early, you will be sitting out or in your car sitting out on the road. One thing I did want to mention is kind of a tip is to use the restroom before you head up the mountain. We do try and keep one porta potty in the upper parking lot, but with everybody coming in, 2, 3, 4 hours away, usually we see a rush of people who need to use the restroom. So definitely use it beforehand just to kind of keep the flow of things going a little bit quicker. If you are arriving early or late, you'll want to fill out the special request form. If it's not something you anticipated beforehand, something happens on your way up and you're going to be late, just give the camp a call and let us know, kind of an ETA, so we're not worried about you all. So when you get into camp, the gate opens at 1 o'clock. Your bus, your van, your trailer, whatever you're coming in, you'll drive down to our upper parking lot where you will see some of our staff, and that's where you will also meet your troop guide who will help kind of guide you through the check-in process. Now, if you're coming in multiple vehicles, we will have you try and condense as much gear as possible into one vehicle. And from there, your troop guide and all of your scouts will follow that vehicle into the campsite and unload really quickly. We typically don't allow more than one car in a campsite at a time just to help limit traffic for the safety of our scouts. So if you need to make multiple trips, we can do that. But something to keep in mind as you guys are packing your vehicle as well, to try and condense it as much as possible. So once you drop your gear off in camp, in your campsite, you're going to want to have everyone change into their swimming clothes really quickly. The faster you can do this, the faster everything is kind of going to go. This really sets the tone for how your check-in is going to go. So make sure your scouts have this gear easily accessible so they're not unpacking their whole bag and they find their swimsuit at the very bottom of their bag. From there, this is what we call our round robin. So your troop guide and everyone in your troop will head to the health lodge where we will do medical checks and we'll go through your health forms. So this is where you'll be turning in your COVID pre-screening form. Again, this needs to be completed before anyone even gets out of the car. It's just a temperature check and you're saying you don't have any COVID symptoms. So please make sure that's done beforehand. Otherwise, it really slows things down at the health lodge. Next, you'll do your medical form. So you will need parts A, B, and C. Your medical forms are good for 1 year from the date that they were signed. So if you have one from last year, as long as it's within the time frame of when you're attending camp, no need to get a new one. For the medical forms specifically, we know some units like to do binders and make it really pretty for us, which is fine. Just a tip for you if you're going to do it that way, if you have the binder, and especially with page protectors, make sure you're only having one form per page protector, or if you have two, make sure it's a front and back so we don't have to pull anything out and go through it. And then you're going to sort the forms by last name, and then it should be split by youth and adult, however you have it on your attendance roster, because that's how we're going to check it off. We'll look at your roster and then we'll go down all of the forms. Then you'll have one leader. While you all are at the health lodge, one leader is going to come down to the business office, which is not very far at all. And that's where they're going to submit the roster and the different permission forms. Again, have them sorted by form. So you'll have your adult forms, your youth forms, and then sort them by last name the same way, because we'll use that same permission form or the same roster form to make sure that everyone has what they need. And those definitely don't need to go in a binder. We keep those at camp for the next couple of years. So if you don't want your binder back, then you can go ahead and do that, but otherwise we'll be keeping it. From there, everyone will be done at the health lodge, hopefully at the same time that your adult leader is done checking in down by the business office. And from there, everyone will head down to the waterfront to do swim checks. Another thing I wanted to mention for the Sunday check-in is that we have noticed a lot of participants get really sick after swim checks. One, it's hard, there's the elevation, sometimes the lake is cold. But kind of a little tip I would have for you is not to eat too much junk food on the way up, but also staying hydrated. What we noticed last year is troops were getting donuts and things like that before they were coming up, which is yummy, but it did not make for a good swim check after at all. And then from there, your troop guide will be with you the whole time. So if you have any questions, definitely ask them. But after you're done at the waterfront, your troop guide will take you back to your campsite. If you have enough time, you'll want to change into your field uniform and then make your way to flags. If you don't have enough time, you can come in your wet bathing suit to flags. We do have a fire drill that happens at that point, so it's important that everyone is in the parade ground so they know what to do in case there's a type of emergency. So as you can see, check-in can be a little lengthy. There's a lot of different moving parts, but if you really pay attention to this section right here, it's going to help everything go a lot smoother. That same day, we do have a leaders meeting at 7 o'clock under the big top, where we'll give you even more details for what your week will entail. And then there's also going to be an SPL meeting where they will find out about the different activities they can sign up for, where they sign up for them as well. And then we have our opening campfire. Jeff, you have checkout, right? Awesome.
Yep. The departure is a little bit easier than checking in. We do get up early. Leaders, you get a chance to meet with the area directors at the trading post just as a final review to make sure your scouts are getting the merit badges that say that your scouts are saying that they completed. We do check-ins during the week too, to help with that. At 8 o'clock, we have a breakfast, but it's not all together. It's not a formal assembly like we do, just to help you get on your way. And then 9 a.m. Is the checkout of camp. It can be arranged earlier if you need to get on the road sooner. But we do try to get all your forms and stuff back to you at that time. And one of the things that we'll recommend throughout the week is on your way home. We do have several great points that you can check out. One is Trail of 100 Giants, the Kern River. The fire lookout may or may not be accessible right now due to the Windy Fire and Dome Rock. And that's all there is to the departure.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. The next one is driving directions to camp. Obviously, a lot of us are familiar with Google Maps. However, if you don't prefer it, you can refer to our written up directions as well. If you are using Google Maps, it is what I recommend. I would definitely double check it against a second source to make sure there's no additional road closures. Usually in the summer, we don't have that issue. Usually they'll close the roads because they're not plowing them in the winter, but definitely double check so you don't have to go all the way around the other side of the mountain in case a road is closed. And then again, the address that you'll want to type in to any of these maps will be Forest Route 22S82. Google Maps does recognize Camp Whitsett if you type it in, but a few others are not able to locate Camp Whitsett by the name. You'll need to use the forest route number, what I meant to do. Alrighty, let's see. Right. And then Jeff, you're on special needs and special requests. Let me get back.
Yeah, so when Ariel gets there, she'll highlight this form that you should click on if you have any special needs. We touched on if you need to come to camp early or leave later, please use this form. Same with anything that might impact your time there, as far as like electricity for CPAP. Not all of our campsites have electrical outlets, so if we know in advance, we can make sure we get you a campsite that can help with CPAP or access for wheelchairs. Another big one that we have that you'd want to use this form for is dietary restrictions. Our kitchen's very, very good at following these special requests as long as we get them in advance. We can help with vegetarian diets, dairy-free diets, and gluten-free diets. Unfortunately, we can't do a whole lot more than that, but we are operated in a peanut-free kitchen. And if you do have another type of allergy or something like that, please put it on the special diets. That way we're better safe than sorry, and we can make sure we are getting your scouts what they need for each meal.
Awesome. And again, that special request form is found on our website under forms and documents. If you scroll down, you should be able to find it. Awesome. Next, the form requirements. We kind of touched on this for check-in, but you'll need your medical form, A, B, and C. You'll need the youth and adult permission forms and the COVID pre-screening. For the adults, there's an adult packet and a youth packet. They have the forms that are required by both parties. For the youth, there are two permission forms that they'll need to do. There's the firearms release, and then there's the youth indemnification form as well. So definitely make sure they have both of these forms if they're planning on participating in anything. And that's it as far as the forms go. So definitely make sure you pull up the youth and adult packet, make sure you have everything. And then keeping in mind sorting it by form and then by last name based off of how you have it on your roster.
Okay, I have adult leader opportunities in camp. Thanks for being a volunteer and taking your scouts up with us. We also want to make sure you guys are getting a chance to also be a participant and get some opportunities that you can't otherwise get at camp. We do offer Scoutmaster and Assistant Scoutmaster specific training. If you're newer, that is a great way to kind of learn more about scouting in your role. We also do an introduction to outdoor leader skills. It's fairly short. As for the aquatic section, we do safe swim defense and safety afloat. And for those in high adventure, we do offer climb on safely and trek safely. Those are smaller sessions that can usually be done in an afternoon. The wilderness first aid, we do offer, it does take a little bit more time and offers CPR and AED. And if I remember right, I think that, is there a cost for that, Ariel?
There is a cost. I don't have it offhand right now, but there's definitely a fee for the wilderness survival or the wilderness first aid and CPR. However, it's a much more affordable price than if you were to take it elsewhere. And as far as the subject to availability, as long as our week is pretty full, we offer it. But if for whatever reason we have less than like 150 campers, we usually wouldn't offer it. But none of our weeks are, we have more than 150 in each week at this point.
Yeah. The wilderness first aid is a lengthy training. The CPR and AED can be done a little bit faster. We do have some awards that can be earned in camp. There's the Adult Leader Award attached to the packet. It has the requirements for it. Project Cope, which I'm pretty familiar with. I was the High Adventure Director and worked in High Adventure at Whitsett for exposed time. COPE stands for Challenging Outdoor Personal Experience. It's something you definitely want to do while you're at camp if you're an adult leader looking for some fun activities. Usually you start on the ground with some team building games and work your way up to our ropes course. Our ropes course is expected to be recompleted before camp starts, so you guys will get to be some of the first participants on the new course. So congrats. And it's just a fun program. There is a youth section which is separate. Just so you know, adults will be offered in the afternoon, where youth will only be available in the morning. And then we do offer some shooting opportunities for adult leaders that go beyond. We do offer pistol shooting and black powder rifle, subject to availability on the ranges. Next is the Adult Leader Resource Form. This is something that's pretty easy to fill out. You just put on your information, say what you'd like to participate in, and we can help you find areas that not only are helpful for you, but helpful for the scouts as well.
And if anyone is a professional in, electrical, plumbing, construction, things like that, we're always looking for additional help as well outside of the program areas.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, of course. All right, miscellaneous notes and reminders. This one, it's all stuff we've already talked about, making sure you go over the packing list, trying not to forget anything from there. Definitely for your scouts, recommend that they have enough clothes for the week. Sometimes scouts like to stay in the one shirt the entire week. So that, and then again, only one vehicle is allowed in the campsite at a time. And that's just to drop off the gear. So that vehicle will return back to the lower parking lot. That's where it'll stay for the week as well. Keeping in mind your paperwork. Again, I know I've said it probably already 5 times at least, but separate your forms and then put them in order by last name based off of how you have it on your attendance roster. Your first meal when you get into camp is going to be dinner. Since the gates open at 1 o'clock, you'll have dinner that evening. So if you want, definitely feel free to bring up any snacks or something like that for your scouts in the meantime. But our trading post should be open at that point where they can go and get some snacks as well. Make sure you can share this packet or really any of the forms and documents we have on our website with any of your adults or your scouts to assist with any questions that they might have as well. And then another thing is our Whitsett wireless. So we do have Wi-Fi available at camp. It's only for adult leaders. So you can purchase 1 gigabyte of data for $12. There's no limit on how much you buy. We do recommend turning off like automatic updates and things like that on your phone, because otherwise the gigabyte will be gone very quick. But it's definitely good enough to do, FaceTime calls if you need to do like a Zoom class or Zoom meeting. It's able to accommodate that as well. We are hoping we'll have like a Scoutmaster lounge this summer where we'll have 1 or 2 computers available for the adults to use who are not interested in purchasing Wi-Fi. Awesome. All right, on to special programs.
The first thing on here is the overnight experience, something I'm pretty familiar with as well. In 2019, I was the overnight director. Unfortunately, the overnight is not going to be able to happen with the Windy Fire and some of the damage it's caused. We do hope to replicate a lot of our activities that we did in camp with those Tuesday and Thursday night activities. So we look forward to seeing you participate in that. And I know it's a little bit farther down the list, but I'm also going to talk about Sierra Expeditions as well. Sierra Expeditions is postponed for the same reason.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. So for whitewater rafting, we are lucky enough to be able to offer the Whitewater Merit Badge due to our location on or being close to the Kern River. So we use Sierra South. That's who is able to provide the merit badge for your scouts. You'll want to call them and make a reservation. And be sure to mention that you are scouts attending Camp Whitsett because they have some specialty pricing for all of our participants. In addition to registering with Sierra South, you'll also need to register your scouts into the Whitewater Merit Badge on Double Knot when registration opens there. You'll also be responsible for the transportation of getting your participants from camp down to Sierra South. They do offer transportation. I believe their smallest is like an 8-passenger van, but if you have less scouts than that, you'll definitely want to organize something kind of between the troop or see if there's any other troops that are using their own vehicles to go down that you can coordinate with them.
Okay. Next is the Beaver Leadership Training. This might not be something all the troops are familiar with. It essentially is a youth training program, usually for your senior patrol leader or other older members in your troop. It is not a requirement, but it is a suggestion. You can send one or more of your scouts a week ahead of your troop. So if you're on week 3, you can send them to week 2. And they get pretty much experience what it's like to be a staff member for the week, while at the same time they are learning all the different activities, able to complete some extra merit badges, and do some special youth training that is unique just to them. Maybe they've been to camp several times and they're looking for something different. This is a great way for them to be able to participate. It is a lot cheaper to do that extra week compared. So this does have a cost of $175 per person. And our participants that have done the Beaver program in the past have really enjoyed it, and often they come back as staff because they're looking for that new thing. It's not mentioned on the Beavership Leading Training, but we do offer another program called CIT, Counselor in Training. This may be for some scouts that may just have interest in being on staff in general. And this way they can come up and be on staff for at least 2 or 3 weeks, if not longer, if it's up to them how long they'd like to stay at camp. And this could be for the younger scouts that want to learn what it's like to be on staff that aren't quite the age to apply yet. Maybe you have a scout that just really enjoys being at camp and learning and a little bit mature, and this is a good opportunity for them as well. They can contact us through that same registration.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. We'll briefly go over the awards. You can definitely look into each requirement when you have time, but we do have a few different individual awards that are available to your scouts, as well as a patrol award, a troop award, and then an adult award. Now, all of these are up to the adults in the troop to kind of keep track of which requirements were completed. At the end of your week, if you do complete one of these awards, you'll turn it in to the business office, and then you're able to purchase the different patches that you see if you're able to complete these awards.
Below the awards is Project Cope. We talked about it for the leaders. However, there is an opportunity for youth to also experience it. It tends to be for the older scouts that have completed a lot of their merit badges. Maybe they're close to getting their Eagle. Maybe they've been to Camp Whitsett before and completed many of the merit badges. Or maybe they're just an adventurous scout that wants to try something new. There is an age requirement of 14 to 17. However, if they are a little bit younger but more mature, they can talk to the High Adventure Director to find out if that's right for them. It is a 2-hour program. Again, it starts with leadership training and games and activities that they can bring back to their troop to start beginning of the week. And then they start doing elements that are off the ground on day 2 and 3. And then the last couple of days of the week, they go up onto the ropes course, which ends in a 100-yard zip line.
Awesome. And for this one, you'll want to make sure you register your youth for, even though it's not a merit badge, but you'll want to register them for the class on double knot as well, which it's just going to help us better prepare depending on the class size. All right, merit badge registration. Again, we briefly touched on it in the beginning, but merit badge registration is going to open up March 12th at 8 a.m. There's no rush to get to your computer right away. The classes aren't going to fill up, sell out, or whatever. There is only one class at this point that has a cap on it. We have newly added the chemistry merit badge. And since it's our first time offering it at camp, we want to make sure the scouts are getting the most out of the experience. So that's currently capped at 20 scouts per class, but otherwise everything else, there's not going to be a cap on it. But the sooner you're able to get registered, get your scouts registered, the easier it is for us to start planning with, staff and program supplies, things like that. And again, whoever registered your troop for double knot is going to have that login information. If you aren't the one who wants to do merit badge registration just because you signed them up, you can share your username and password with whoever that second person might be, or you can contact our camping registrar, Jared, who many of you have been in contact with already, and let him know that either you want to change ownership of the account over, or if you want us to make kind of a password that you all could share in case you have a more personal password. For blue cards, we actually don't use blue cards anymore. All of our stuff is digital. So on Friday, you'll get your preliminary reports of what your scouts completed. That one will be printed out. Feel free to mark it up in case there's anything wrong or questionable on there. And then on Saturday morning, you'll be able to meet with all of our director staff to make any corrections from there. And now that everything is digital, we're able to get the completion report sent out a lot quicker. We say no more than 7 days. Usually we get it out in 2 to 3. And it's going to be a PDF of all of your scouts completions with a official watermark on it as well. If there's still any issues, if some things got missed on the corrections, feel free to just email our clerk back and they will be able to update that for you. And from there, you can give it to your advancement coordinator and they will be able to update your scouts merit badges. A quick note for shooting sports, we do have a program fee that we introduced last year for rifle and shotgun. It's going to be $25 per person for the merit badge. We currently do not have a fee for folks looking to go do free shoot. Part of that is because so much ammo is used in the merit badge classes. And as many of you know, ammo has been very hard to come by these last couple of years. So that's why we have the fee for the merit badge at this point. If you have some younger scouts, older scouts, if you have a mix, you'll definitely want to refer to our merit badge difficulty chart. That way you're not putting any of your young scouts in some really advanced courses and maybe, they'll get a little bit discouraged. So definitely refer to this. It's not a solid rule. It's more of a guide. So up to your kind of own feelings and opinions, however you want to recommend this to scouts. And then finally, our merit badge activity schedule. Again, this is the most up-to-date version we have now. You can always reference to the bottom piece right here to see when it was last revised. And if we do make any changes, it'll go up on our website under forms and documents. All of the white spaces refer to a class that is available during that time. The dark spaces means the class is not being offered in that session. We do get questions on how many merit badges scouts should be taking. And there's no set number on what they should be taking. We can let you know that most scouts earn between 3 or 4. Some of the more ambitious ones will earn 5, kind of depending on what they're looking at. The handicraft ones are a lot easier to get completed. If you drop in on during your free time, you can earn an extra merit badge there. But otherwise, whatever the scouts feel comfortable with, we don't run a merit badge mill, as some call it. We don't want them in classes, all day long. We want them to be able to enjoy fellowship with their troop and making friends and kind of being able to explore camp. So 3 to 4 is kind of the average for what our scouts take. Some of our merit badges do have prereqs, and they're all listed on this form which ones have the prereqs. So we have these available, this form available at camp in case your scout forgets it or they decide to drop into one of these classes while at camp. Otherwise, you can go ahead and fill it out beforehand, and your scouts will give this to their merit badge counselors when on their first day of class. And then this is just talking about what those different prereqs are. A new one that was added this for this year is last year we were under fire restrictions. So for wilderness survival, one of the requirements was not able to be completed, but we had scouts and scoutmasters who, you know, have seen their scouts build the fires. That's for requirement 6. So if that is the case, if we're under fire restrictions, but you're able to vouch that your scout has completed requirement 6, maybe outside of camp, you'll want to go ahead and use this form as well. And let's see, before we wrap up, 2 things we wanted to touch on. Jeff, did you want to talk about staff first?
Yeah. So if you are getting this before camp starts, we do have most of our staff roster filled out. We are going to be completing interviews on March 14th and throughout that week. However, we are in need of about 5 to 10 more staff. So if you have some mature scouts that are interested in working at Whitsett, we would love to have them apply, and we will get you a link. If you go to campwhitsett.org, there is I'm seeing Ariel pulled up as we speak right now. There is a link that you can sign up to do a really quick. No, it's all right. It basically just asks a survey of what camps you're interested in working at. We hope that you'd be interested in coming working for us at Camp Whitsett. It is an amazing opportunity. We do run from June 5th to July 23rd, but we know that obviously if you're coming to camp, your scout may want to be with your troop that week, and that's fine. We are also flexible on the dates if you can't stay the whole summer, but depending on the position, we would encourage you to come work for us.
Awesome. And we've definitely in the past have scouts who have come up with their for the week and they end up staying the rest of the summer with us. So that's definitely a possibility as well. All right. And last thing I'm sure most people have been waiting for as well is what our COVID restrictions or policies are going to be. Now, keep in mind, these are our policies at this time. It could change tomorrow, a month from now, whatever it is. We will definitely send out an email to everyone to make sure we are all on the same page. I do want to preface this with saying we don't anticipate these restrictions getting tighter or becoming more complex. If anything, we're anticipating that they might loosen up or stay the same. So we are requiring that all participants either provide proof of full vaccination, meaning they have shots 1 and 2, if applicable, as well as the most recent booster. If you have participants who are not fully vaccinated, they will be required to show a negative COVID test that was taken within 72 hours before they get to camp. We are accepting over-the-counter rapid antigen tests, so you don't need to go get a PCR test. We recommend it, but we understand that there's usually a cost that comes with it. So over-the-counter is fine. And if that is the case, if you have folks who are doing the COVID test, they'll need to show proof of that on their medical form. You can attach it to Part C. So many of us are familiar with like the BINAX ones. Obviously, you don't get a printout of your results, but what you'll do is write your name, sign it, and put the date and time that that's taken, and just take a picture of it. And that's what'll get attached to Part C. For folks who are fully vaccinated, you'll put that information on Part C. If you have it on your phone, that's fine. It's a little bit easier for us if it's printed again with the check-in process, just to have everything kind of in one spot. So either fully vaccinated or a negative COVID test. As far as masks go, at this time, we are requiring masks whenever you are indoors only. So the indoor spots we have in camp really are just going to be the trading post as well as the nature lodge. Otherwise, or the only other spot we require masks are going to be when we're going through the meal service line. But when you're outdoors, you don't have to wear them. If you have participants comfortable wearing them, by all means, they're more than welcome to do whatever makes them most comfortable. And and the last thing for COVID is troops will be responsible for doing daily temperature checks for all of their scouts. We'll give you a form where you can track it. It just stays posted on your bulletin board in your campsite. So you will need to bring a forehead temperature scanner or thermometer with you to camp. We try and have extras, but it's best if you bring your own. That way you can do those checks. And if for whatever reason someone pops up with a fever or they're not feeling well, we will have rapid tests available at the health lodge. But if you want to bring some up with you as well, you're more than welcome to. But is there anything else you have to add, Jeff?
Just for our camp contact information, if you want to scroll down to that last screen, you'll notice that I'm not added on there. But you can go ahead and contact us through those email addresses and our camp website. And as far as my personal email, if you need to get a hold of me for anything program related, it's eldredge.jeff. That's ELDREDGEOFF@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. And one last reminder, this concludes our pre-recorded leaders meeting. We will have our live Q&A on March 9th. And that's going to be from 6 to 7 California time for us. The Zoom link has been sent out to everyone already. If for whatever reason you didn't get it or it got lost in your email, feel free to send me an email and I can go ahead and get that sent over to you. But otherwise, again, thank you all for taking time out of your day to help plan for your scouts this summer. And we will see you in a couple days.
Great.
Awesome. Bye.